Welcome back to River City Sports at the Roundup. And last week we had a great first week, and here we're going to have a little bit different of a show. Not only are we going to have guest players on the show, but we welcome in a new writer in Zach Kirby as well. We also are going to mention our notable games of the week, highlights from last week, and we're also going to have our pick'ems again. And this time I might put on a helmet. I'm not sure just yet. But with me as always is John Neal and Taylor, and we welcome in Ryan, our other insider as well. Where should we go from here, guys?
I mean, again, it's week 2 of the Roundup. Really big emphasis this week is a lot of district games. It'd probably be the emphasis. You have Red Bank, who's going to be taking on a very good Central squad. East Ridge is taking on Brainerd. Hopefully the Panthers can get something rolling. But other than that, 5 AAA, they've got some pretty good ones. And Saudi's taking on Cleveland. You also have East Hamilton, but taking on Ottawa, and we'll preview our game of the week. But when we come back, we'll ask Miles Smith of Red Bank and JoJo Tillery of East Ridge. They'll come on the show here in a couple minutes, and I'm looking forward to a great show.
I'm looking forward to it as well. Welcome back to the River City Roundup, and joining us for the first time is Zach Kirby. And Zach, we welcome you to the River City team. And what are you feeling right now? Are you excited about joining us, or what are your emotions right now with us?
Yeah, I'm very excited to be with you guys. It's finally high school football entering the thick of the season right there, and I'm just glad to be a part of this company and, getting to writing for you guys and seeing what high school talent's out there and seeing who's going to be the next big names for the future.
And, Zach, we are in the thick of things in football season. We asked you on, but I heard, we talked a little bit before you joined us, you kind of know some basketball around the area. You've covered it before. Give us just a little bit of basketball preview. Going off last year, I know we're not into it. It's a couple months away, but you kind of being tabbed as a guy who's really going to be our insider for the basketball in the area. What do you expect from basketball in the area coming up?
Yeah, I expect Brainerd and Tyner especially to have pretty good programs. Chattanooga Central, I know they had a good program. They were very young last year, and I know they kind of slipped up whenever they played Brainerd and Tyner, but they look for them to improve also, especially with Boyd Buchanan. They lost Cole Rose last year. They're a very fundamental basketball team. I liked what I saw with them, but new coach, new system, there's no telling what's going to happen. And also be on the lookout for CSAS. They had a young team last year. They got knocked out by Boyd Buchanan's in the district semifinals, I think, last year. And so look for Coach Mark Dragoo, who's been with that program for 20-plus years, to keep his system rolling, get his kids to where they need to be, especially when they're upperclassmen. And also another standout I want to mention is Tyner. He's a sophomore now, Kevin Cameron. I covered him when he was a 14-year-old freshman, and he scored 26 points against East Ridge. So he's one to look out for. He's a sleeper.
That's great stuff, Zach. Basketball's coming up. We'll be kicking off with some previews on our site in about a month. It is mid-September, guys. But we'll go. Zach, you'll be out this week at Cleveland and Saudi Daisy. Saudi Daisy's coming off a bye. Cleveland's starting to gain some momentum after a little bit of shock and awe from McCauley earlier in the season. What do you expect going out to that game? Are you excited to go out to that game? Talk about that for a second.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see Saudi Daisy hosting Cleveland at home. Obviously, they're coming off a bye week, so I think that's, from a mental aspect, a very good time for them to make adjustments that need to be made so they can prepare for Cleveland this weekend.
Okay. And Jake, when we come back, we're going to welcome in a couple of athletes. But before we do that, we got to clearly mention some thank you to our fans, our followers. Please go follow us at River C Sports on all our social medias, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're trying to give you all the best coverage in the area. And, without y'all, and last week, I really gave heavy emphasis on the supporters, but I didn't really mention the coaches much. We had a great conversation about some of the coaches in the area before we kicked off this show. I got to give all the thanks in the world to every coach who's allowed us and pretty much opened the doors, provided us with great gear from all the teams. And I really want to say thank you for any of the coaches who watched the show and just happy to be part of their programs because without them and without the great players that we cover, River City Sports couldn't be anything.
And that's true. And it's not just the coaches as well. It's the players. I mean, we really got to thank the players. I mean, they've been behind us since we started doing this, or ever since you started doing this, and you're bringing us all along for the ride. And you know, this has just been it's been a great experience. And you know, we're giving these kids the exposure to to colleges and everything that they truly deserve, and everything along those lines. And plus, we get to watch great high school football.
Oh yeah,
at the end of that.
It's easy when you got a couple of players like JoJo Tillery, Austin Banks, Miles Smith, Kareem Orr. You can just keep going down the line of players, and it makes our job easy.
I know, and making our job even easier. Coming up next on the show, we have JoJo Tillery, Austin Banks, and Miles Smith joining us to talk about last week and what they see in the future for each of their teams.
And we welcome you back to the River City Roundup. With me is JoJo Tillery, quarterback of the East Ridge Pioneers, offensive lineman, a little bit of guard, a little bit of tackle. You never know what you're going to get with Miles Smith and those Red Bank Lions. Both seniors, off to great starts. Red Bank, Miles, y'all are bouncing back pretty well. I know it was a tough loss last week against Signal Mountain. JoJo, y'all are on the opposite of the spectrum. You started slow. Now you're back to 2 wins. East Ridge was able to knock off Polk County 31-21. And like I said, Signal Mountain took the Lions. They also beat them. What was that score, Miles? Do you remember that?
It was 49-13 was the final.
49-13 was the final. It was also a great opportunity for these guys to get out there and once again test their ability. A couple more athletes just showed up. Jake in the studio got some other pretty good ones. But
they're all showing up in the studio.
But guys, talk to me about y'all's games last week and what it means for y'all as players and where y'all can go from here.
With us, we just gotta stay focused. Keep going on with the details and just keep pushing. Can't give up now, so just gotta stay with it.
Signal loss was a tough loss, but I mean, you can't dwell on the past. You got to move forward and get ready for the next one. So.
And talking to Coach Malone a little bit earlier yesterday afternoon, JoJo, he said you're playing great. You were able to get the ball out a little bit, stretch the field a little bit. Against Central when we came and watched you guys, you just couldn't really get anything going. They do have a pretty good defense, but how were you able to capitalize really on with such a great performance like you had last week against Polk County?
Well, against Central, I had the injury, which knocked me out pretty much the whole first half. But, last week, offensive line, we just stepped up big time. So, I give all the credit to them, and receivers made plays. They got open and just was able to deliver the ball and made big plays.
Now, Miles, for you, going up against Signal, and it was a tough loss, like you said.
Yeah.
But they're one of the best teams
Right.
in their region in this state. They're a very talented team, but I mean, you guys have talent as well. So a loss, like you said, you got to move forward. What's one way in order for you to move, for this team to move forward, as you guys take on Central this week, an incredible defense?
Well, me being a senior, I set an example for the younger guys. So if I'm still dwelling on the past and thinking about the Signal game and not moving on to think about Central, then I'm not going to get anything accomplished.
What's one thing with Central, like I mentioned their defense, and JoJo over here has played against that defense, held them to 3 points.
Right,
I mean,
yeah.
Central's defense is not to be messed around.
Mm-hmm.
Who are some what stood out to you in film? You've watched their film. What has stood out in film to about Central to you?
They fly around to the ball. Every one of their guys run to the ball, no matter what the play. You got defensive linemen running the ball. Their linebackers are their playmakers on defense, big time. Those guys, if they didn't have their linebackers, they probably wouldn't be as good of a defense as they are.
I mean, guys, like I said last week, we're going to bring in a pretty good linebacker here late in a little bit, and Jeremiah Jackson, he's a centerpiece of that core. But next to Udawa, I haven't seen a better linebacking core than maybe Central, and JoJo was able to capitalize late in that game. Take us through that last drive where, personally covering football for as long as we have in the short time here, but covering it a little bit more in the past years, never saw a quarterback take six direct snaps and almost score on a last drive. You would think you'd want to hand it off to a bigger running back, but, talk a little bit about that.
Just running the clock out. We like running, getting in our stack formation, which is goal line, and just punching it down other teams' throats, I mean, we basically telling them where we're going, so then they can't stop it. So we just keep pounding. But yeah, I mean, a couple times I got a little winded, wanted to hand it off, but you know what? Coach put it on my shoulders, and I got it done for my team.
And Miles, I mean, you being a senior, JoJo, you also being a senior, you know, we're pretty big in the social media. We like to keep up with you guys. Let's talk about a little bit of recruiting as we change from a team aspect into y'all's aspect of this early senior season, and what maybe some coaches are talking about with y'all, maybe some schools that are sticking out, and what y'all plan to do in the future.
As of right now, you know, I'm talking to Austin P, Wofford, UGC, ETSU. You know, I'm talking to them almost daily now. So they're really high interested. I mean, I have an offer from Maryville College, but I haven't talked to them in a little bit. I have to get back in touch with them. But yeah, and Coach just told me yesterday he got an email from Indiana about me. But as of right now, yeah, that's the top four: Austin P, Wofford, ETC, and ETSU.
Is there one in particular that's sticking out for you? You want to?
Yeah, I mean, I would have to say either Wofford or Austin P because, you know, I'm talking to them the most. But, you know, as of right now, nobody really, but those two really talk to me the most. So.
I mean, I don't know if you could tell that on camera, guys, but Miles Smith kind of gave a little nudge there for Austin P. You know, Nick Tiano and Harrison Moon are both tagging up to go down to Mississippi State. It'd be kind of nice to see two other Chattanooga area prospects tag team together and go to Austin P. So, Miles, you just kind of nudged about Austin P. Are the Governors really sticking out for you?
Yes, sir, absolutely. I feel like at Austin P, and they've talked to me about this before, they said that I could go on the field and compete for a starting job as a freshman. I'd compete at center, which I haven't played since my freshman year, but I mean, it wouldn't take that. I mean, they run basically the same offense we do, so learning the offense wouldn't be that big of a change, but it would just be learning a new position. So.
And I mean, if you were to go in and try to get snap or reps in at center, I mean, clear, you'd have an off season to do that.
Right.
Take your time. JoJo, is Austin P looking at you to transition to defensive back a little bit more than quarterback?
They most likely want me at free safety or corner. You know, we went up there for a camp in the summertime, and Coach told me, head coach and defensive back coach said I was best DB there. So, I mean, as of right now, it's either corner or DB. They haven't really relied on one of them, but it's one or the other. I mean, corner or DB, but it's most definitely defense.
I mean, we watched you pop a guy from Central, so I mean, I kind of understand why they want you at DB a little bit. Would you rather be on the defensive side of the ball, the offensive side? What would you prefer to be in college? You just want to play.
I just want to play. You know, just make plays. That's all. No matter if they put me on the line, as long as I'm playing and just making plays for the team, I really don't care.
So the tandem next year, like if you guys went to Austin P, you could see Miles at quarterback and you could be under center. You could be that'd be a cool little. That'd be a good switch.
And but guys, we thank you greatly for coming out, and I suspect this might be your first of many appearances on the River City Roundup. Like I said, players of your magnitude and also of your high character makes our jobs very easy. And we wish you the best of luck Friday as you take on the Brainerd Panthers, and Miles as you take on the Central Pounders. And best of luck the rest of the season. I'm pretty sure October 10th. Both of these guys are going to tag up against one another, and hopefully we can be there as our game of the week. So who knows? They might be back down here and then. But when we come back, we'll bring on Austin Banks as our player of the week. But before we go, JoJo was also tabbed as one of our 5 players of the week in his respective, and we'll talk a little bit about that. And we welcome you back again to the River City Roundup. We are here with Austin Banks of Notre Dame, running back. Guys, we're going to recap our Week 3 results. Baylor was able to beat Brainerd 41-13. Baylor was able to beat Brainerd 41-13. Notre Dame was able to rout Boyd Buchanan and Austin. That's where we bring you into the segment, man. We tabbed you as our athlete of the week in the area. You had 22 touches, both receiving and running, 324 total yards, and 5 total touchdowns, man. Talk to us a little bit about, was it scheme? Was it you finally coming back into that 2013 form? But what was credited your big performance Friday night?
It was basically a scheme, man. We schemed them up real well. My line did a terrific job of blocking, making the holes wide as they could, and I just hit the holes and be special after that point.
And Austin, talk to us a little bit about Notre Dame as a whole. You know, you got off to a rough start against Knoxville Catholic. Now Darius was out, but I wouldn't say a rough start because they y'all were able to come back and almost won that game. But now y'all are starting to roll. You're sitting at 3-1. We got you at 5 in the area school. I mean, y'all are a state ranked team. Is the sky the limit again for this team? Are y'all having some more confidence with that October 3rd date just itching on down the road there when Signal Mountain comes to Notre Dame?
Oh, we just gonna prepare, have a great preparation week. Like last year, we didn't have a great preparation week against Signal, coming off the I want to say Bledsoe, and so this week we're just gonna play hard and we're gonna just wait for that game to come, because we got a bye week, so we're just gonna keep having a great practice and get everybody giving great effort, and we're gonna see what it brings us.
Do you think that gives you kind of a little bit of an added edge coming off the bye week against them?
Not really. We're just gonna have great preparation, and it's 2 weeks of preparing for them, and the whole week we're just gonna get after it.
And thanks, Austin, tabbing in on that. Getting back to some other scores in the area, Central was able to top off Marion County 7-0. East Ridge again was able to beat Polk County 31-21. Signal Mountain knocked off the Red Bank Lions 49-13. Ottawa blanketed Tyner once again. Owls haven't allowed a touchdown in 2 full games. Bradley Central was able to get a good district win, or not district win, but a good win for a program in 21-14 at Hickson. Cleveland knocked off Wilson Central 49-35. Riverdale upended the Hurricanes of East Hamilton 42-24. McCauley continued to roll at 49-27 over Siegel. Loudon beat Howard 47-6. Lookout Valley got their first win of the season, 38-33 over the Grace Golden Eagles. Meigs County won 41-2 over Sell Creek. Silverdale 10 over Grundy County 6. They were able to get back on a roll. Guys, going over a few of those games, you were out at Bradley, Ryan. Talk to us a little bit about that game and what Cole Copeland. Talk a little bit about his performance and how those Bears are looking.
Yeah, Cole Copeland obviously had a great game. He led the team in rushing, led the team in throwing. He did it all for the Bradley offense. But what I want to talk about is their defense. In the fourth quarter, Hickson got stopped on the Bradley 4-yard line, the Bradley 20, and the Bradley 10, all to seal the game. And really, you know how Hickson runs that spread back veer option? The Hickson D-line was in the backfield taking away that dive all night long. Hickson struggled to move the ball consistently except for 2 big plays. Combine that with a big game for Cole Copeland, and Bradley was able to get the win going away.
And Jake, we took on as our game of the week as Baylor was to beat Brainerd, and we have a recap on our site at rivercsports.com. Go ahead and go check it out. There's a lot of clips. It's pretty much what we do every week. We go out to the practices, we get some clips, get some players interviews, because we are about the players here at River City Sports, and then we recap it on Friday nights after watching some great football. But Jake, was there anything that surprised you from that game? Anything that really stood out?
The only thing that really stood out to me, in all honesty, was the fact that Brainerd let that one slip through their fingers at some points. Brainerd, it's a classic. And basically what I want to just tell everybody here is that anybody can win on any given day. And Brainerd came out firing on all cylinders and really gave Baylor a scare, because we were there. First quarter, about 5 minutes into the second quarter, that Baylor stadium was silent, absolutely silent, because Brainerd had a 7-6 lead on them, and it just really showed to me that Brainerd, 0-4, they play a tough out-of-conference schedule. Now they're going into the district and everything. Brainerd is a serious team to watch out for, and Baylor, Baylor did not have Nick Tiano, and who we all know is one of the better players in the area, and you build a scheme around a guy like Nick Tiano. You build your offense around him, because he can throw the ball to anybody. He can pick apart coverages, and man coverage is better, like zone coverage and man coverage is better than anybody in the area. So really, What I think about this game is that two things. One for each team. For Brainerd, they could play with anybody if they wanted to. Brainerd is a tough team. They just have to be mentally tough and be able to avoid those mental mistakes. And two, Baylor, even without Nick Tiano, they could still, they got off to a sluggish start. Baylor could still play very well. That defense, Baylor always seems to produce some really good defenses, and like throughout the time. And Baylor's defense, and Ryan Parker, number 15, I talked to him after the game, and I said, "Do you feel pain?" And he goes, "No, I don't feel any pain whatsoever." And I go, "That's a medical problem. You really want to go get it checked out." But their defense really did step up after a couple slip-ups in the first half.
And, Austin, we're going to bring you right back in and get a little bit more interactive comments with you. 7AA, Signal Mountain's leading that district right now with y'all close right behind them at 1-0. Grundy County is 1-0. They were able to knock off Sequatchie County in a late score in overtime when they went for 2. CCS is 2-1. Y'all were able to knock them off earlier in the season. Sequatchie County 0-1 as they lost to Grundy County, but 2-1. And Bledsoe's pulling up at the end right now, but who knows in that district? Do you feel that the district is better than it was last year as more teams are a little bit more competitive?
Yeah, it brings a lot to the district, man. Everybody just competing as a whole group and just getting after it.
And we know October 3rd is going to be a pretty big matchup, but what kind of concerns do you might have as a running back or as a team that Bledsoe might can have? Talk to us. Did you watch film earlier this week?
Oh, yeah. Most definitely. I watched film on Bledsoe this week. They run I want to say a 3-5 stack or something like that. And comparing them to Signal, Signal run like a 4-3, something like that. And just going against Signal, I'm not worried about anything. Just play it like a regular game instead of a rival game,
Okay.
I think that's what gets to us most.
Yep, just one game at a time, right, Austin?
Tell you one game.
And Taylor, getting to you, man,
Sure.
You feel like you're the end man
Hey,
here. We keep adding people to the show. But you were out at Signal Mountain this week. Talk to us. We went to Signal Mountain this spring. I saw a little bit of them in some passing leagues. Notre Dame was able to get one up on them up there on the mountain, but they got a pretty good running back who's kind of come out of nowhere in the area that might even compete with this guy as being one of the top backs.
Sure, yeah. You're talking about Sky E. Wilson. He's a sophomore this year, and guys, he earlier this season, he wasn't very much there. He's had a pretty big game last game against Red Bank, game before against Bledsoe County guys, and the thing about him is he's very explosive. Not only can he run the ball for you, can he gash you for 15, 20 yards at a time, but he can also catch the ball as well. He had two receiving touchdowns, 3 rushing, I believe, on the game, and he's a very, very special player for the Eagles.
I should have something to add to that. I was over when Signal played East Hamilton, and very first game, Sky Wilson didn't even play in the second half. But he had like 3-4 snaps. He still had 100 yards rushing, 100 yards receiving in the first half alone. It didn't take him long to get going.
He's doing it on very little touches, and that was the case against Red Bank, the case against Bledsoe. He gets his yards regardless.
And that will be something to see if can he continue that play if he gets more touches. But that wing tee attack that Coach Price is known for back when he was at Coffee County High School, not everybody gets a lot of touches in that offense.
Yeah, and something about Signal Mountain, they've got a ton of backs that they can throw in there, and they've got a couple backs that would start at other schools around the area, and it's if Scotty goes down or he needs a blow, they got another guy in there that's ready to take it to the house, and it's one of those things that they are very dangerous.
And the thing also, we talk about Signal Mountain's running backs, the receiving core. We talk about J.R. Wilson and all them. Signal Mountain's just got players all around. That's what makes this game. We talk with Austin here. We talk about the Notre Dame Signal game. That's what makes this game so just. This, in my opinion, everyone talks about Baylor and McCauley being the game of the year here in this area.
I don't know if it will be, Jake. Notre Dame and Signal.
That's what I want to bring out.
Yeah,
Notre Dame
keep
and
talking
Signal.
about it.
You got the. I'm telling you, at Notre Dame, it's going to be. I'm looking forward to that game more than anything. That's what I'm looking forward to.
You like both of those programs a lot, but this guy hasn't made Alex Darris have to beat a team, by himself here recently. But I think in a couple of weeks it's going to be, can the defensive backs of Signal Mountain match up with the athletic ability, the skill positions that they have at Notre Dame? Kareem Moore, like I said, Austin Banks, Ricky Ballard, Polo. You all have A.J. Flemingster who can line up in the slot. Joseph Enos, and then the thing on the Notre Dame side is, Joe Dossett is back. on the offensive line. And this guy has 680 yards rushing in 4 games and 8 touchdowns. Can their line match the physicality of a Signal Mountain line? I mean, it's going to be a great game. I can't wait for it. But guys, let's transition back to a couple of other players that we had in the area that really have splashed on the scene last week as we tabbed the rest of our players of the week. Alex Trotter, running back at McCauley, once again.
Oh, he keeps doing it. You know it.
I mean, he does 14 touches, 264 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's on pace for a 1,700-yard season. He's already matched his total on half the carries of last year. So, I mean, he's something special that they have at McCauley, and he's, once again, we tab him. He's on their 4x1 state champion 100-meter team. He's something else. We go to JoJo Tillery, who we had on earlier in the show, who had 14 of 17 passing, 262 yards, 2 touchdowns. But one key thing to note of that is he added 49 yards on the ground, but he didn't have to do it as much on the ground as he had. Jake, like we talked about earlier, is that something that they need to do at East Ridge going forward, is not get so many touches at that quarterback slot from JoJo?
If they really want to keep on moving forward in the season, JoJo is going to have to throw the ball more. And, JoJo has the ability to throw that ball. He has the ability to throw the ball 40, 50 yards in the air. He's very accurate. He can make those passes that they need. And, when you have your quarterback have about 25 to 30, rushes a game, that's going to tire him out, and that could really stress out in the long run. But, JoJo's he's a good athlete. He's a strong athlete. And, he has the ability to do both, to run the ball and to pass the ball. So, really, for East Ridge to move forward, I say, they got to develop the pass game more. And I think they've got the receivers to do it. They've got athletes at East Ridge, and they really need to take advantage of that.
That's good stuff, Jake. Like Taylor and Ryan was able to tab on Scott Wilson. We'll throw some season numbers on to him. He's got 40 touches, 393 yards rushing, folks, 8 touchdowns, 4 touches in receiving, 178 yards and 3 touchdowns. He's really splashed on the scene. He's going to be one to really watch against Notre Dame. And then we're going to be getting him on the show here in a little bit. But I can't say enough about the character and the play of Jeremiah Jackson at linebacker from Ottawa. He had 10 tackles and 2 tackles for a loss. But if we're going to transition to some season stats, at middle linebacker playing a defense, it's all about disruption. How can you affect the game from that middle linebacker spot? Can you run sideline to sideline? Can you affect the play? Can you create plays or mismatches for their secondary, like a guy like Rashawn Freeman, who we'll also have on the show later, to make an impact from that safety slot, which Jeremiah has. He has 31 tackles so far in the season through 4 games and 10 tackles for a loss. That's a middle linebacker, folks, making plays in the backfield at 10 tackles. The sky's the limit for that kid. But, when we come back to the Roundup, the Insiders and Us, we're going to discuss about how we kind of go about every Sunday when we rank our teams in our power rankings, which you can find every Sunday on our site. And we're also going to talk a little bit about the Week 4 matchups as we inch closer as we preview our game of the week, as the Ottawa Owls, who are 4-0, 1-0 in the district, travel to Hurricane Hill against the East Hamilton Hurricanes, who are sitting at 1-3 on the season, but 1-0 in the district. Not many people really noticed that. But guys, before we go, any surprises from our players of the week, or is that just who we expect mainly every week?
Speaking of Mr. Banks here sitting with us, I expected them to have a very good game against Boyd Buchanan. The Bucks are kind of off to a slow start this year, but I didn't expect it to be as big of a blowout as it was. That was really what shocked me this past week.
Ryan, you can go ahead, Ryan.
No, you look at the players of the week this week. I look down the list, and I'm expected to see all these guys multiple times throughout the season. They're all great athletes, and they're all huge leaders on their team. And I expect to see a lot more of them.
And 2 things for the players of the week for me. 1, Trotter from McCauley. I'm surprised he didn't have any more yards. 2 is, for me, is Jackson. Watching him play, he's like a college linebacker. Like, he really is just a pure college linebacker. He just knows how to go from sideline to sideline. He reads the plays perfectly. And it's just, at his age, he's just a junior and everything. It's just, at his age, it's just incredible. Like, I've never seen anything. I've never seen any linebacker in high school be as good as he is.
It's almost scary.
It's ungodly. That's what it is. That's what it is.
Well, folks, this is our part of the show where we always have to give a great shout out to our proud supporters of Jefferson's Restaurant who allow us to come in every Tuesday night and host this talk show with some great athletes, and they sponsor us. So Taylor, talk to us a little bit about Jefferson's and what they do for us.
You know, personally, I just had the buffalo chicken tenders, and they were delicious. Plug for Jefferson's and their chicken tenders. Guys, it's a really good environment. They're nice enough to give us this side room here, so we're kind of away from the hustle and bustle of the main dining room. But guys, it's one of those places. It's a really good spot. It's kind of off the beaten track of downtown, and it's really good food, guys. Burgers, oysters, like I said, buffalo wings, chicken tenders. It's really good, especially if you don't have a lot of money like myself. It's not going to hurt the wallet that awful bad. So.
I hope not. I sure hope not.
Yeah.
And don't forget, guys, we're also partnered with Famed Fresh Above Media Direction. They'll take your highlight tape to another level. I know they've tabbed this guy's done a pretty good edit on his highlight tape. So go check those guys out on all their social medias at famed_Inc. Two great guys who run that company, and they're really trying to take us as well as them to the next level. But when we come back, we'll preview some upcoming matchups, our game of the week, even farther down.
We welcome you back to the River City Roundup. We had so many amazing guests here. We had Austin Banks, we had Miles Smith, and JoJo Tillery. I mean, it was exciting, to finally get the players on the show. We've been wanting to do that. And, guys, we go from talking about last week to this week and some key matchups. Not only are we going to preview our game of the week of East Hamilton and Ooltewah, who many people think Ooltewah, probably the best team, one of the best teams, the best team in the area, probably one of the best teams in the state. But we pick up some other matchups, some other key matchups. John, what are some? Give us a couple matchups you're really looking forward to, like in this upcoming week.
I mean, right off the top of my head, you got to go Saudi Daisy Cleveland. I like Hunter Maynor at quarterback for the Saudi Daisy Trojans. They needed a bye right then. Ooltewah did beat them 2 weeks ago. They could never really get anything going on offense. You could give credit to that great defense of Ooltewah, or they could have been some miscues. But that will be a good game. We had Zach on earlier because the mental aspect, is Kirby said, was where is Saudi Daisy mentally as Cleveland starts getting into 2013 form, as Austin Massey has finally started feeling confident, more confident. He's making great plays, both running and throwing. He gets the ball out quick. He's got a live arm. Taylor, we saw him, at that opening game against McCauley, and he could never really get anything going. But I feel maybe this might be the week where Cleveland kind of says, "Hey, we're back."
Sure, yeah. I think last week against Wilson Central was really a good game for them to get them going. And we saw them early in the season against McCauley, and that was a very, very tough opponent. But, I said earlier, just quarterbacks in the area, just watching him, his mechanics look great, very fluid in his motion. I think he has the possibility to do very well for this Cleveland team.
And Ryan, what's a game for you that's really what game would stick out to you besides our East Hamilton Ooltewah game?
A game I'm looking forward to seeing is the game I'm going to be at is Central and Red Bank. Central has an incredible defense. They haven't allowed an offensive touchdown in 3 games. 2 of those have been shutouts. The other has been giving up 3 points to East Ridge. But on the flip side, they haven't scored an offensive touchdown in 2 games. You look at they scored 7 points against Marion County, but that was a defensive touchdown. So can their offense get going? Because I can tell you, I don't think they're going to be able to shut out Red Bank this week.
No, Red Bank has too many, like we said, too many talented players in Malik Davis, and the Stamper brothers, coming in not only on the defensive but the offensive side of the ball. But another game to really, I think what John and I learned last week about about Brainerd. Brainerd and East Ridge is a game to really look out for me because Brainerd, they've got athletes. And, I think they're finally starting to get something they've been needed to have for a long time, and that's confidence in their play. If they can go to Baylor and play a strong first half like they did, and they can carry that into the next half or the next game, I think Brainerd's the team to really watch out for. But at the same time, Brainerd's got to watch out for JoJo Tillery.
Brainerd's a dangerous team. I love what Coach Gwynn has done over there. He's really coached those guys up, and they believe they can win. They go in, they expect to win every single game. So that's going to be a matchup to watch.
I mean, outside of East Hamilton, and we'll get to the Hurricanes in a little bit, Brainerd might have the toughest starting 5 games now with
really?
East Ridge. in the state. I mean, I don't know who designed their schedule, and I've talked to Coach Gwynn, and he wants to play even more teams out of state powers, like in Alabama, a school in Alabama we talked about, and even maybe Bowling Green, Kentucky, in a year or two. So he wants to play competition up. You know, talking a little bit about Utah, Red Bank, and Central getting off. I was able to talk a little bit to Coach Mallory and Coach Grabowski a little bit. Both feel it's a huge game in the district. You know, Central is 0-1 in the district. JoJo and the East Ridge Pioneers was able to get their make that one loss for Central. Grabowski, he's on the other side. They've got to win. He feels like they have to get consistent play on the offensive side of the ball. They got to play for all 48 minutes. Coach Mallory, he basically, we saw this, Jake, 2 weeks ago. He wants to control the clock, possess the football, and not put his defense in bad spots. And basically, he just wants to run.
And all right, we've talked about games to watch for. What teams that are high ranking in our the teams like an East Ridge or a Notre Dame or a Baylor, among those lines, what team is really going to have to watch out? Because week 4 or 5 of the season, I mean, that's when teams starting to build it together. Even if a team's 0-4, they can come in and win. So who needs to be on upset alert this week, in your opinion? Taylor, we'll start with you.
On upset alert, I hate to say it, having JoJo Tillery here on the show, but I think the Pioneers may have an issue with the Brainerd Panthers coming in this week. In my opinion, Brainerd is one step away from a big win, a big momentum shift on the season. I think this one could be very close for them.
What about you, John? What do you think?
I want to stay in the district because a team that I tabbed to go out and beat a 5 AAA team in Bradley, and you watch Bradley and Hickson, watch out for Howard and Coach T. He's coached up the Tigers there. I talked to him a little bit. He believes his team is maturing at a faster rate, even though it doesn't show in the win-loss column. They were able to get an athlete in Trey Davenport over there who's running the ball really well for them. He knows Hickson's going to be physical, but can they match their physicality? But Hickson losing to a Bradley team after coming off 2 really good wins against Tyner, which Tyner hasn't started off hot. That's a little bit of, I would say, a surprise in the area. They're also playing a very tough opponent, Knox Catholic, this week, who, as we had Austin Banks on earlier in the show, of who the Notre Dame Fighting Irish played earlier in the year. But watch Howard, and if they can get something going offensively and believe, and Hickson might be sleeping a little bit, but they do host Howard, so give Hickson a little bit, but just watch that one a little bit closer.
What about you, Ryan?
I'm going to have to go back to Central and Red Bank. Central's defense is lights out, but they have to get something going offensively because I don't think they're going to be able to shut out the Red Bank Lions. They've got too many athletes, and they just have to be able to match the points on the board.
I mean, I'm known for making the crazy statements. They're about to get crazier. I'm telling you, a team that really needs to watch out is Signal Mountain. We talk about how good Signal is, and they're a great football team. But usually it's those really good football teams that are on such a high pedestal, and they get just tipped a little bit, they could fall down. I say Signal needs to watch out for Grundy this week. I mean, they really do.
I mean, I would say that. We keep talking about it, Jake, is that October 3rd matchup of some great teams in the area, but can Signal Mountain stay focused to get there, and can Notre Dame stay focused to be able to get there?
And, games in the future of a schedule can really conflict games that are coming this week. I mean, people could think, Notre Dame going up against Bledsoe, Notre Dame's going to beat them by like 40. But then because they're more worried about the Signal game because they haven't beaten Signal in 4 years, and Signal's coming there, they lose all sight of the game that's right in front of them. So I'm telling you, Signal could have the same mindset as well. So you never know. But I say watch out. Signal Mountain, watch out for Grundy County. It could be an interesting one.
And, there's a lot more really good games in the area. Chattanooga Christian, who's going to Sequatchie County. Sequatchie County was able to beat South Pittsburgh for the first time in 7 years. That was a great win for Sequatchie County in that beating a power in South Pittsburgh. Chattanooga Christian coming off a bye. Where's Coach Spence after that big loss to Notre Dame and can the Chargers bounce back? Lookout Valley at Marion County. Marion County was fell victim of that great defense from Central last week. Look for them probably to bounce back against the Yellow Jackets. Silverdale was able to get back on track by beating the Grundy County team, so that was kind of interesting to see. Let's talk a little bit about the private school, guys. Macaulay travels to MBA as Baylor travels to Pope John Paul. I mean, that's two other teams that better watch out if they're looking ahead to that October 3rd date. What is it going to take from a Macaulay or a Baylor to beat those two teams in district play?
And the thing, I mentioned the upset alert. The reason why I don't consider Baylor, if Baylor or Macaulay loses an upset, is because talent-wise across the board, Baylor against Pope John Paul, Macaulay against NBA, they're almost completely even. Baylor has Nick Tiano. Macaulay has Alex Trotter. But, I mean, line up every single person on the field. I mean, I'm telling you, they're going to be great games. They're going to probably be two of the games we're really going to be interested to see who comes out a winner, who comes out a loser. But really, for Baylor, what they need to do, Tiano, you just got to let Tiano do what he does best. Throw the ball. You just got to let him do that. And Macaulay, if Alex Trotter didn't give over 200 yards this week, I'll be a little bit disappointed as well.
And guys, before we get to our predictions and we can kind of go a little bit more in depth on this, 3 teams on a bye. All 3 teams are winless. Boyd Buchanan is 0-4, Sale Creek's 0-4, and Grace is 0-4. What do you think they should be doing this week to try to get back on track and get that first win for those programs this year?
They need to be watching film. They need to be able to be correcting mistakes. They need to snap and clear mindset. That all those 4 games are done. They need to focus on week 6 when they come back. And I think the bye week had a perfect time for all 3 of these teams to kind of get their minds right for big games all coming up in week 6.
Yeah, Ryan, I really like what you said. I think this week is going to be more about getting back to fundamentals for the teams. Wrapping up tackling, finishing your blocks, running the ball, blocking till the whistle blows. I think this is going to be something that they can take this week, have an extra day of practice if they want to, and really get back to the fundamentals of football.
Fundamentals, they're key in every situation. I mean, you need to go over fundamentals even during the week when you have a game. But really, I think for these teams, we talk about watching film and they need to practice everything. Relax. I mean, it's the beginning of the season and anything can happen in these next 7 games for them. If they just relax and play the game that they know how to play, their season could completely turn around.
And that's a good point, Jake. I mean, clearly looking at it, Grace and Boyd Buchanan are yet to play a district contest, so that district is clearly open for them, and they could have a quick chance of making a run. But before we break here, let's go down through here and give me some predictions, okay? We'll wait to the East Hamilton one to the end. Jake, I know you're itching to either put on that Ottawa jersey or that East Hamilton Letterman jacket we have right here. But Saudi Daisy hosting Cleveland. Who you got?
Saudi Daisy hosting Cleveland. Got the Trojans.
You got the Trojans. I'm gonna say they're at home, but I like Austin Massey and what he's doing right now, and 2 back-to-back wins gives them a little bit of momentum, but it's going to be close.
It's very close.
I'd like to see Cleveland make this bounce back because they have so much talent on the board, but it's at Saudi Daisy, and there's just something about Saudi that it's hard to win there. So I'm going to pick Saudi Daisy by a field goal.
Saudi Daisy's coming off a bye week after getting throttled by Ottawa, and I think they really needed that bye week. I think they correct their mistakes. They come out. Cleveland has a really good offense as well, but they have some weaknesses on defense. I think it's a shootout, but I've got Saudi 42-31.
Okay, and tabbing you one up, Jake, as you said, by a field goal for the Trojans, they're introducing a new kicker this coming weekend, Lucas Rogers. He's got one heck of a leg on him. He's a soccer player, so keep one to that watch on. That'd be a heck of a
bring that leg in. I want to see that leg in action.
That'd be a heck of a way to start your career, but game-winning field goal or a field goal to put you ahead to win that game. But we move on, guys. Ryan, your game, Central versus Red Bank. Who do you got?
I've touched on this several times already. I love what Central brings to the table with their defense, but I just need to see more offensively from them. They need to throw the ball around more because I don't think Red Bank relies on their offensive plays. And, they get all kinds of explosive plays through the book. They're going to get points. They're not going to be shut out for this game, and I don't think Central comes away. I don't think Central gets the points to match them. I've got Red Bank 14-7.
I really, Central's defense, we've watched them firsthand. Very talented defense. I've watched Red Bank's team in general. I've watched their defense. I've watched their offense firsthand, and they're an impressive team. I really don't think. I just think, Central defensively they're incredible, but offensively they've not really proven anything to me. I mean, they have a good running back, and they've got athletes on that side of the ball, but I'm gonna have to say Red Bank by at least 14, and that's at the least.
Well, guys. I mean, Red Bank is sitting at 2-2, and Central is sitting at 3-1. One's 1-0 in the district. The other one's 0-1. It's a huge game for both of them. But I've tabbed all year. I've seen Courtney Stamper in action. I'm waiting for him to flip the script, to flip the switch, and I think it's this game that he comes out of a shell, and you might see 10 tackles from him running sideline to sideline, that he finally turns it on, and Coach Grabowski gets that win and says, hey, we're here in the district, and we're going to go 2-0. I just think defensively the Pounders could pull it off, but offensively they just can't get anything going.
And on your point about Stamper, I'm looking to see him have a few good plays on the offensive side of the ball. When I watched them against Saudi, they let him line up in the Wildcat with some lead blockers in front of him in the red zone, and he got positive yardage every time. I think he has a couple touchdowns in this game.
Yeah, and as far as the game, my prediction, Central's defense has looked great all year, but guys, it's very hard to win the football game when you can't score points. And if I'm not mistaken, the only Central points these past couple games has come off defense. Has it not? 3 points against East Ridge. Guys,
Well, East Ridge shut him out.
oh, I'm sorry, 3 points against.
It was a scoop and score against Marion County.
There we go. Guys, I don't think this one's close. I've seen Red Bank a couple of times this year so far, and Signal Mountain is a different animal than Central. I think it's going to be a big win for the Lions.
And we'll go now. One that I'm eager to pick. East Ridge 2-2, 1-0 in the district. They've won 2 in a row. Brainerd's 0-4 and 0-1 in the district. Guys, who do you have, Taylor, in that game? I know you're going to be attending.
Yeah, I hinted a little bit earlier. East Ridge better watch out just in case. Thinking there may be an upset, but guys, JoJo Tillery last game, 14-17, 262 through the air, 2 touchdowns and 49 rushing yards. That's going to be very, very difficult to stop. I think East Ridge pulls this one out.
Who you got, Jake?
There's so many ties here. We've talked to both East Ridge and Brainerd throughout the year, and they've been nothing but supportive of us. But watching both these teams play, Brainerd came out of their shell last week, like I said. They're starting to realize, hey, we can play with these other teams now. But East Ridge, they're on a hot streak right now. I think East Ridge wins, but it's close. I'm going to go a touchdown. We'll separate.
Who you got, Jake? Or Ron?
Yeah, I'm Jake.
Again, I like what Coach Gwynn has done at Brainerd, and these kids are going to come in expecting to win. I think it's close for the first half, but once the second half comes in, I think the East Ridge Pioneers just come out and blow the game out of the water, and they win by a couple scores.
Yeah, I had the privilege this week to once again talk to Coach Malone. We talk almost on a regular basis each week. I like talking X's and O's with him. He believes on all 3 phases they're starting to put it together. The offense is playing their strengths. They like to play outside the numbers. The defense is starting, as you showed, against Central to really pick it up. They played it was 35-28 against Walker Valley. They played Notre Dame close. They were able to beat Central. They were able to beat Polk County by 21. I say Tillery and the Pioneers finally show you what they were expecting to do all year in the district, and it's not even going to be close. I love what Coach Gwynn and them are doing, but there's just too much offense and too much skilled players on East Ridge's team for them to be contained five weeks in a row. We tabbed Tillery as one of our players of the week. It could double that number, and that's not saying that the Brainerd couldn't pull something off. I just think that they're clicking at the right time, and I think it will be all East Ridge come Friday night. We got to do some rapid fire here, guys. We're cutting short for time, so we're going to go a couple of games, and you're just going to give me a winner.
Sounds good.
Okay, Chattanooga Christian, Sequatchie County.
Sequatchie County.
Chattanooga Christian.
Sequatchie.
I got Sequatchie, too, in a close one. Lookout Valley at Marion County.
Tough week last week. I think Marion County pulls it out.
I got Marion County bouncing back. Lookout Valley, we'll give them a little bit of run because Evan Walker is playing pretty good football for the Yellow Jackets. Who you got?
I'm going to have to go with Marion County. They are coming off a tough week, but I think, and Lookout Valley's coming off a good week. So Lookout Valley, hopefully they're not on that high of a win. So I think Marion County will close it out with probably a 2-touchdown win.
Marion County's a very good football team. Shut Central out offensively. I think they bounce back.
I think they bounce back. We go to Silverdale, a 3-1 Silverdale team versus Hayesville, North Carolina, who's coming in 1-2. Who you got?
Gosh, I don't know anything about Hayesville, North Carolina. Silverdale, though, have been struggling a little bit early this season. I think they pull this one out.
I got Silverdale. They beat them last year. I think that Coach Al Rogers is finally getting Silverdale a little bit bounced off of that shock win against Copper Basin. Who you got?
I'm going to have to go with Silverdale. I mean, they've really proven themselves to me this year. 3-1 start, off to a great start. I think they'll continue momentum and go 4-1.
I also have Silverdale. I think they carried the momentum forward.
All right, Ryan, going right back at you. Hickson, a 2-2 team, 1-0 in the district versus Howard, who's 0-3 and who hasn't played a district game yet.
I've got Hickson winning this one.
Who you got?
I'm going to go Howard by a safety.
Howard by a safety. I mean, Jake, there's always stuff that you can't expect with you. I think Hickson's on upset alert, but I still got the Wildcats by a touchdown. Who you got?
Hickson by field goal.
Okay, we got both the private schools traveling to Nashville this week. Baylor at Pope John Paul. Who you got?
Pope John Paul.
Okay.
Going to call this one a little bit different than I normally would. Pope John Paul on this one here.
Who you got, Jake?
And I'm the crazy one, and you're picking Pope John Paul?
Yeah.
I like that pick. I'm going Pope John Paul as well.
Really? Tiano didn't play last week. He's back, and I think it killed him that he had to sit out a game. He's going to come back. I think he throws for 3-4 touchdowns. Baylor, big.
Pope John Paul was able to put a lot of points on a very good McCauley defense who was able to shut out Cleveland. But when Seven's under the center, it's a completely different Baylor team. I got Baylor by a touchdown. McCauley travels to NBA. Who you got?
I think McCauley wins, and Alex Trotter has 1,000 yards in this game.
Who you got?
I'm going to have to go with McCauley on this one. I think McCauley, offensively, they've just been too much for anybody.
I'm thinking 1,000 yards a little low for Trotter.
You think so?
But between him and Javon Craig, that's the scariest little duo back in the backfield for McCauley. I don't see them being contained.
I got McCauley too, and it might not be that close. We're gonna go to Signal Mountain at Grundy County. I know, Jake, you have them on an upset alert, but who do you got?
I really, really like the Eagles. Signal Mountain big on this one.
I also got the Eagles winning over Grundy County. It could be closer than some think, but Signal Mountain pulls it off. Who you got?
I say Signal on upset alert, not to watch, but I still think Signal's going to pull off the win because I think I think they're the team that realizes, hey, we're 4-0, we got to keep this up. So I think Signal wins, but I think Grundy will play them close though.
Signal, big.
And we go to Notre Dame versus Bledsoe County. Who you got, Taylor?
Notre Dame, no question about it.
Who you got?
Notre Dame by at least 14 or 17.
Who you got?
Notre Dame. Bledsoe has a few athletes out on the perimeter. My cousin plays for them, and Connor Boynton. It's a hell of a receiver for them, but Notre Dame big.
Notre Dame big. I got the Trojans big also. I don't think until that October 3rd matchup anybody's going to match up with them that well. Bradley Central 2-1 at a Walker Valley a 2-2 who's an 0-1. I mean that could shake up that district a little bit. Who do you got?
Guys, it may not be the conventional pick, but I really, really like Walker Valley this year. I'm gonna go with them in this one here.
And that's a great pick. I like that pick. I'm going to go Walker Valley as well.
I got to see Bradley last week, and Cole Copeland had an amazing game. I think he carries that momentum, and the Bradley defense holds Walker Valley to 14 points. Bradley.
Well, it is at Walker Valley, and Ryan, I think Bradley does get off to a quick start, but Walker Valley gets him at the end, beats him by a field goal. Tyner, 0-3, 0-1, goes to Knox Catholic, 4-0, 2-0. Does the Rams have anything for Knoxville Catholic, or are they waiting for that district play?
Guys, I feel really, really sorry for Coach Turner and the Rams this week. I think this one's going to be a very, very tough game. Not only playing a quality opponent in Knox Catholic, but also traveling. So I think Knox Catholic's big.
Who you got?
That's another game I think that lines up for me with Signal Mountain and Grundy County. It's going to be a lot closer than the experts think. I think Knox Catholic wins, but it'll be close.
I feel bad for Tyner. They've had a rough schedule. They had to play Signal Mountain. They've had to play Ottawa, and now they have to travel to Knox Catholic. Knox Catholic wins big.
Like you said, Taylor, the traveling aspect, where's that team mentally? I think Knox Catholic might want to try to rub it in a little bit. I think I like Knoxville Catholic and what they're doing up there, but they're trying to compete against a Fulton team who's just blowing everybody out of the water up in Knoxville. So they might try to run up the score, but I think Knoxville Catholic gets them. But, guys, a great prediction segment we have, like we will every week. But when we come back, we're going to quit after a short break. We're going to quickly preview our game of the week, and then we're going to get 3 outstanding players from Ooltewah High School. And Kelvin Leon, Rashawn Freeman, and Jeremiah Jackson will join me, and we'll talk a little football with them, a little X's and O's, and see how the Owls feel as they started the season 4-0 and 1-0 in the district, and how it feels as it's East Hamilton week for them.
Welcome back to the River City Roundup, and here we're previewing our game of the week as East Hamilton takes on Ooltewah. And, at the beginning of the season, Ooltewah, everyone knew they were going to be good. East Hamilton, returning Big D, Mount Cody out there. I mean, he's sick. When you're a center his size at 6'4", 300-something pounds, I mean, there's a lot of expectations there. But East Hamilton struggling with injuries this year. They've been injury plagued. They're at 1-3 start. But Ooltewah is a different side of the story. 4-0, arguably one of the best teams in the state. No doubt about it, the best team in the area. So, guys, what do you think is something to watch out for as we preview for this game? Taylor, we'll start with you.
Something to watch out for. We went to practice today, me and John did, and something that I think is going to be one of the major keys is how can the East Hamilton offense rebound after just a terrible start to their season, losing a couple of key guys in key positions. I just want to see if the offense can rebound and start clicking and have, I mentioned it earlier today, that next man mentality and just get the next guy in there and see what they can do.
What about you, John?
Well, let's go to Ryan first.
All right. My big thing with East Hamilton is they can't beat themselves. And last week against Riverdale, they were in it. In every game they've played, they've been in it up until the second half, but they beat themselves. Last week they had 8 turnovers against Riverdale, and every game I've seen them, they've had upwards of 100 yards in penalties. You can't get behind the chains against this Ooltewah team. Their defense is way too talented. The only way East Ham comes away with this win is if they get some big plays on special teams and they don't beat themselves.
And, Jake, I'm going to just throw a couple of numbers out here for you. Ooltewah's offense is averaging 39.2 points a game, led by their really good quarterback who's really emerged this offseason into the fall as he battled for that position. The team is trusting him. He likes to push the ball downfield. And Kelvin Leon, he's got great weapons in Edward Hayes and Anthony Turner, and their defense is only allowing 8 points, and they haven't been scored on in 2 straight weeks. They've also only allowed 92 total yards. That's 4 quarters of action against a Tyner team who loves to run that wing T. Ooltewah leads the all-time series 3-1, but East Hamilton was able to get them last year in the playoffs in 26-19, and I think that is firmly implanted into those Ooltewah players' heads. It's a great rivalry that's come about. Ooltewah's averaged winning by 12.3 points a game. The last 2 have been really close in the regular season by a margin of 2 and 3 points, but there was a huge blowout win and 32 points. Ryan, I think you said the last time East Hamilton was 1-3, that was when that big blowout win was.
I was actually playing on that team.
Yeah, they actually got to finish out the season at 6-4. But if you look at East Hamilton, they only averaged 17 points on offense, but allowing 30 on defense. That's not really characteristic of that defense for Coach Gatewood. But let's throw a stat out here that not many people will probably take notice. Ooltewah's combined opponents' records are 2-12. East Hamilton's is 13-2. Have the Owls been tested to the ability to the par that East Hamilton has? That's the question. Can Ooltewah play up to the level? I believe they can.
No, they can't.
But they haven't competed against 3 state-ranked opponents. This will be East Hamilton's 4th state-ranked opponent that they'll play. So, I think the biggest thing that you'll have to watch is, like Ryan said, is East Hamilton cannot beat themselves. They are at home. That might give them a little bit of an edge. But the big thing is Ooltewah, that offense, that defense, they have a tempo. They can't – it's hard to beat in Ooltewah. It's hard to see where can I put it in perspective? they're the best team in the area. That's as plain as you can probably put it. There's no real concern at any level of on the offense. Maybe the offensive line might have some issues, but Leon and those receivers haven't really shown that as this much. But defensively, they have an all-state caliber player on all levels of defense. Find that on another team in the state. You show them, I still say the Owls could beat them.
And the Owls, the thing about that, only allowing 92 yards a game is just outstanding. And when we come back, we'll have 3 of those Owl players to join us as they will preview the game as well. And we might get them to give a little prediction when we come back.
And we welcome you back to the last segment of our second edition of our River City Roundup. A long-awaited, guys. Y'all been sitting here a couple hours. We apologize for that. We've had some issues in the building next to us, but y'all have taken the time to probably contemplate some answers. Jeremiah, I met with you this spring. You felt very confident going into the season. You were a 2-time All-District player. Rashawn, you've kind of busted on the scene as a sophomore, playing safety, playing a little bit of offense. Great, 21 tackles, I believe, this season so far for you. Jeremiah, you're up to 31. Talking a little bit in the spring, I really want to give credit to Kelvin Leon, who's sitting next to Jake. Saw him in the spring. He was progressing, and it kind of just clicked, folks, for Kelvin Leon. He kept pushing, got in the weight room, got his feet right. He's got the arm. The coaching staff is really high on him. I think if we're going to go a couple of season stats, he's got 8 touchdowns for 622 yards and 4 interceptions. He protects the ball. He has some pretty good receivers in Edward Hayes and Anthony Turner. But guys, this is y'all's segment. We are going to be at practice tomorrow on Wednesday for y'all, but talk with me a little bit about the season so far, how have y'all felt about it, and what y'all need to do to continue to progress and on to that state championship that I know y'all are searching for.
I think we came out to a pretty good start. You just got to make sure we don't get complacent and stay hungry, and just most of that.
Yeah, we got to keep grinding. We got to stay focused in practice. We can't let adversity interact with us and mess up our focus. Coach told us today, one of the best practices he's seen from a high school team. So we're just working hard. Our defense, we expect shutouts. That's what we practice for. That's what we're aiming for each game. So hopefully we can get it done.
Yeah, I feel like this year is a lot more different than last year because we're a lot closer this year. We're more of a family than a team, and I feel like that's going to take us pretty far this year.
And guys, watching you do you think that it's the coaching staff that has been able to put you in the correct scheme to beat people, or do you think it's y'all giving 100% effort and just doing what the coaching staff asks of y'all, being that family to take y'all to the next level?
I feel like it works both ways. We listen to Coach Green. He has some great schemes to get us to the ball and allow us to make plays. So I feel like it's both ways. We work hard, and he gives us the correct schemes. We'll be a dominant defense and a dominant team as well with Coach Bryan as the head coach.
One at a time, guys. Just one at a time. Let's get it out of here.
But yeah, I feel like it works both ways. Also, they put us in the right positions to make the best plays, and they do stuff that just gonna exploit us, where we'll be able to just how can I say it? Just win.
Just win?
Yes, sir.
What do you got, Kelvin?
I feel like it works both ways as well. I feel like we all trust our coaches and everything we do, and I feel like they got us at the right spots and they got us at the right schemes. And whoever has a play, whoever's called for the big play, they know they'll make that play.
And Kelvin, I got a quick question for you. As the quarterback of the team, and you've got Jeremiah and everybody on that defense. I mean, how comfortable does that make you feel as a quarterback, knowing, if I slip up, I've still got a defense that doesn't allow anybody to get past the line of scrimmage? So does that help you relax? That way you can play better?
Yeah.
In the game, you think?
Yeah, I feel like we have a pretty good defense. They're going to get us pretty far as well. We trust that defense a lot more, and I feel like they're pretty much the front runner as our team. If there was a game, offense and defense, they would probably blow us out. So.
I mean, no disrespect to your offense. I mean, your offense is you've got 8 touchdowns and 600 yards of offense. Your running game is pretty good as well. I mean, it's just when your defense puts up those kind of numbers, it's really hard to avoid that. But I mean, overall, you guys just have had a solid season, and I mean, I've just looked at the scores of your games, and I'm telling you right now, I can't believe it. It's just like if someone put 99 on every player on NCAA, and that's what we get. We get you guys. They only won 60-0. Just 60. That's what they got. But I mean, just credit to you guys all the way.
And guys, what may be different this week than the past 4 weeks? It's East Hamilton. I mean, y'all are 4-0, and they're 1-3. But all bets are off when y'all go to Hurricane Hill this Friday night. I know y'all know that, but what might be different as a team playing a big rival like that, Jeremiah?
Obviously, it's a rivalry. They put us out the playoffs last year, so we still had it on the back of our mind. But we're playing the game. It's the big game because it's the next game. We're not just looking at it's East Hamilton. We have to change up schemes and all that. We know it's the next game, and we want to stay undefeated. So we're gonna do anything to come out of that East Hamilton Hill, wherever we call it. We're gonna come out of there with a win.
What do you got, Rashawn?
Well, yes, East Hamilton. They're gonna play as hard, maybe more than any team they will play this year. But they're a good team, and I know they're gonna come out with everything they got. So we have to come out with everything we got, and just play Uruguay football, and yeah.
What do you got, Kelvin? What's different about East Hamilton?
I feel like between the other 4 games, obviously it's a rivalry, and I feel like this is what high school football is about. There's going to be so many fans there, and this is like the game of Chattanooga, and this is what people look for when people see Udowa's schedule. They see where's East Hamilton playing. So, I mean, obviously there's a lot of hype everywhere. It's going to be a lot of people, but I feel like this is more than a game. Then this is like we kids that are on that team, they play with us in middle school, so like we know each other a lot more. So that's always good. It feels like middle school all over again.
And guys, what concerns does an East Hamilton team bring you? What are some keys that y'all talked about this week in practice who y'all kind of got to focus on both offensively and defensively?
I feel like East Hamilton, they kind of, they established the trick plays. That's what we have to look out for is the trick plays. And Matt Millett as the back, he's a decent back, so we have to watch out for him. And the O-line, I feel like they're decent, they're pretty good, so we have to just watch out for any mishaps. We can have any mishaps in the defense, the linebackers, D-line, secondary. We all have to play with the intensity we did against Saudi Days. If we come out and play like we did, then we'll be in pretty good shape.
What about you, Rashawn? What concerns might their receivers possess against some defensive backs of y'all's caliber?
Well, I know they have athletes. I know them personally, as well as on the field and off the field. And I know that they can make plays, and I know they're going to keep getting better. So we got the DBs have to come with their A game regardless. So it's just a matter of execution and who's going to make what play.
How about you, Kelvin? What concerns do they bring defensively for y'all's offense?
I know on their secondary they have a lot of athletes out there, and also their linebackers are also pretty athletic out there. I feel like if the person who's called to make that big play, that they have it, and I feel like we'll be in good shape.
And guys, always comes a time where y'all have to finally decide of pick a winner. So Jake, we've had a great show today. We'll be here, next week. Every Tuesday here at Jefferson's. We've had a great show. We've had Austin Banks, JoJo Tillery, Miles Smith. We've had 3 great players here in Jeremiah Jackson, Rashawn Freeman, and Kelvin Leon. But Jake, give me your 3 keys for Ottawa and your 3 keys to East Hamilton to win that game, and give me a winner.
For Ottawa to win, they just need to keep playing the defensive scheme they've been playing. I mean, if their defense just keeps up the momentum they've been playing, just execute, they'll be fine. If they can just contain the running backs, East Hamilton does have some pretty athletic running backs, and they're hard to contain. So I think if they can just play contain on them. And also, they're really going to have to watch out for the new quarterback. I know he's new. I know he doesn't have much experience in, but you never know when guys like that can come in. And for East Hamilton to win, to give them 3 points to win, I think East Hamilton, they're going to have to play outstanding. They're going to have to be able to establish protection at the offensive line. Because when you have Jeremiah Jackson come at you at full speed, that's going to be tough to block. So really, I'm hoping their center Big D can really establish a ground for them to stand on. That way we can have a pretty good game. And really, their running backs are going to have to really be able to carry the load. Really, they're going to really have to. They'll probably get about 40 or 45 touches, combined. So I mean, really, it's going to be tough for them to really do that. And my third key, defensively, like Kelvin said, an athletic secondary. They're going to have to stay. They're going to have to play, great coverage, great zone coverage, and everything like that. They're going to have to play smart. A smart play by the secondary. But if we're going to have to pick, last week I wanted to pick the upset Brainerd over Baylor, but then I decided to put on the Baylor helmet. I don't have an Ottawa helmet, but lucky for them, I don't have an East Hamilton helmet. So, without further ado, I'm going to have to put on the hat. And it's too tight. And that would happen while we're rolling. I'm going to put this on. I'm going to go with Ottawa by at least 2 touchdowns.
Ottawa by 2 touchdowns.
I'm going to have to go Ottawa by 2 touchdowns.
Well, Jake, East Hamilton is a great team. I think Coach Gatewood coaches them up this week. He was very enthusiastic throughout today's practice as we were there. I'm real excited to go see what Jeremiah and company can work on tomorrow at practice with Kelvin the offense. I'd like to see Rashawn Freeman a little bit in the return game. But I've said it from day one. The first practice I went to in the spring, I went on August 28th, and I saw the Ottawa Owls. I said they were going to be the best team in the area all year long. I see no reason why that changes in Week 4. They beat East Hamilton. They get a little bit of revenge from last year's loss in the playoffs. I say 3 touchdowns. Ottawa 42, East Hamilton 21, and it might be closer than that because of a rivalry, but I just don't see that defense giving up that many points. So again, Ottawa 42, East Hamilton 21. And again, next week's folks, we'll be here at Jefferson's at 7 o'clock. We'll have more athletes. We'll have more players of the week. We'll recap the week that's coming up. Great matchups in district play. We'll also have a recap on our side about as these folks take on East Hamilton at Hurricane Hill at 7:30 this Friday. But again, we want you to go follow us on all our social medias at River C Sports. Also, come down, have a bite to eat here at Jefferson's. If you have a player, an athlete, if you're an athlete watching this and you want to take your highlight tape or some photo edits to the next level, check out the guys at Fame. And guys, we just want to thank you so much for coming out tonight, and we hope you have a great trip home, and we'll see you tomorrow at practice.
Yes, sir.